Today I'm going to be talking about hind midbrain structures as they relate to self-reflection. Since hind and midbrain structures are among the first areas of the brain to process incoming sensory information, it's been assumed that what goes on in these regions should have very little to do with metacognition. However, much of what the brain engages in these areas lays the groundwork for later, more advanced cognitive tasks. So it's not clear if these aspects should be considered neurologically separate from the act of metacognition. The hindbrain is at the base of the spine, and because of its location, it is sometimes called the brainstem. It is responsible for the regulation of subconscious bodily functions like digestion, heart rate, breathing, what are called autonomic functions. These are just sort of functions that run automatically on their own in the background. And though the hindbrain is not considered very metacognitive in its function, because its functions generally occur outside of conscious regulation, some degree of conscious regulation can be brought to bear on these automatic functions, allowing for a degree of conscious monitoring and control. The simplest demonstration would be breathing, which is generally controlled unconsciously by the brainstem. However, at any moment, we can move our conscious awareness to our breath to regulate its flow. We can even stop our breathing when needed in situations like, say, swimming. Interestingly, full conscious control of this vital neurobiological cognitive function is never fully granted. If one attempts to hold their breath beyond a certain point, the hindbrain will compel its resumption through this building perceptual pressure, or in extreme cases, literally shutting down consciousness altogether. This leads the individual to pass out so that normal breathing can resume, uninterrupted by conscious interference. It seems that this kind of hindbrain control is not driven by a strictly mechanistic, non-conscious monitoring of oxygen levels, as would be suspected. And this ability to seize control of autonomic functions isn't even an exclusive property of the frontal lobe. Midbrain structures can also seize control of breathing functions in instances of high emotional intensity. In situations that the midbrain evaluates as too dangerous to suspend conscious behavior, it will override these usual hindbrain responses of passing out when oxygen levels become dangerously low. This has led to many tragic deaths from a condition called positional asphyxiation. Positional asphyxiation generally occurs in institutional mental health settings when a patient or a client falls into a state of acute stress response and must be restrained in order to maintain their safety. In these situations, often because of mental health issues, they perceive the intervention as a threat to their life, and this can lead to the classic fight or flight escalation. These are often terrifyingly physical events, where rather than passing out, these individuals continue to fight and scream and threaten, even as their blood oxygen level drops to dangerously low levels. When these individuals are maintained in restraint positions that restrict their ability to take full breaths, such as during a prone floor restraint, death can occur from suffocation, even before the usual signs of suffocation. This is because the midbrain's stress response system has bypassed them. While modulation of automatic functions of the mid and hindbrain, like breathing, may seem to have little to do with metacognition, metacognition is about thoughts and their ability to best manage our behavior. As we learn more about learning, we find that to maximize our learning potential, we must manage and modulate both the external and internal learning environment. Internal, stematic states, such as your level of sleep, your emotions, fatigue, these can have powerful effects on our learning. Our ability to modulate these states is an imperative component to maximizing our capacity to learn. Plus, such conscious modulations of autonomic functions may be demonstrations of even more elementary components of the broader phenomenon. It may be that the mid and hindbrain areas are more involved in specific kinds of metacognition than apparently appreciated, albeit maybe in a less conscious way. But we'll talk more on that.